Hi, my name is Savala Nolan, and I am the author of Don't Let It Get You Down, essays about race, gender, and the body. I am a writer and an author, obviously, but I also have a day job. I work at UC Berkeley's School of Law, where I direct the Felton E. Henderson Center for Social Justice, and where I also teach classes about the role of identity in lawyering. I'm from California, and I live here now with my family. And I also had the privilege of living in Washington, D.C. for several months many years ago. While I worked briefly at the Obama White House while I was in law school. So I'm especially excited to reconnect with DC in this way. Don't Let It Get You Down is a collection of 12 essays that are very personal, rather like memoir, but also very political in nature. I talk about race and class and gender because those are so foundational and so definitional in our lives, and certainly have been in my life. I'm someone who straddles a lot of polarities. You know, if you're looking at me, you can probably tell I'm multiracial. I'm Black, white, and Mexican. And, as far as my body goes, I'm a woman, and I'm someone who has been fat and thin throughout my whole life, over and over again as a chronic dieter, former chronic dieter. And so I've experienced kind of different polarities of womanhood in that way. And I write from the perspective of someone who has, kind of been on the inside and the outside, who's been part of more dominant groups and part of more marginalized groups, right? Black, white, and so on and so forth. And same goes for class. And these essays in particular focus on the body, because the body is where we experience these definitional clashes in our culture and these foundational identities, right? Everything happens in the body. So the body becomes this source of knowledge and insight and humor and epiphany and pain, and sometimes lies, right? Like sometimes our bodies carry things, stories about us or the world that aren't actually true. And I wrote the essays to focus on the body and to look at race and gender and to an extent class from multiple perspectives at once, using my own life as a guide and my own body as a guide. I think the personal and the political are always in collision in our bodies. And when I wrote this book, I was kind of focused on that point of collision and hoping to catch the sparks that fly off that collision over the course of our lives. One of my favorite essays in the book is called State, as in the state of California, or what state are you from? It's an essay about state power and the impact that state power has had on my dad's side of the family, which is the Black and Mexican side of the family. And I love that essay, partly for the joy of writing it, right? The joy of getting to be lyrical and poetic as I was writing about state power and my family and my father. And I also love it because it's a tribute to my late father, because he's passed away. And I found it really nourishing, ultimately nourishing, also challenging, but ultimately nourishing to write about him and to pay tribute to him and to pay tribute to his lineage and family line that ultimately extends back into the antebellum South and chattel slavery. It felt really good to give a voice to some of that part of my history. So that's one of my favorite essays in the book. I am influenced by a huge variety of authors, many of whom write fiction, right? Even though this book is nonfiction. Many of whom write poetry, even though this book is not poems. You know, among them are poets Natalie Diaz, Linda Gregg, and Ross Gay. I love Zadie Smith. I love Jessamine Ward. Of course, I'd be remiss not to mention Toni Morrison and James Baldwin, because they are lions and probably influence every writer out there. Let's see, who else? I love R.O. Kwan's work. I think she's really fabulous. I mean, should I keep going? There are so many. I hope that people get to the last page of the book and primarily feel like they have had the chance to look through a window that they haven't looked through before, and seen something that's real, right? And seen truth. I hope that people feel a sense of, you know, verisimilitude and insight. For some people, I think the book will feel almost like it's a counter narrative that speaks for them. And for other people, I think the book will be more revelatory. But in both cases, I hope that the truth of what I'm saying, the emotional truth, touches people. And I also hope that people come away with a deeper appreciation of the work that their body is doing in the culture. As I said before, you know, our bodies are where it all happens, and our bodies are the site of so much division and also so much power, so much complexity. And, you know, my body is somewhat unique because of all the ways that I'm kind of a mixture of different things, but we all have bodies, so we can all relate to, you know, the frictions and the joys of walking through the world as an embodied person. And I hope that people have a deeper appreciation for their experience of being an embodied person after they read this book. Thank you so much for watching, and you can order my book, Don't Let It Get You Down, at politics-prose.com.